So just a short while ago, Israel decided to attack Iran. And President Trump is telling Iran that they need to agree to a deal before there's nothing left. He's simply telling them that the next attack on Iran is going to be even more brutal. Now, how does this play into what is going on in the United States? How does this tie in to what we are doing? How does this bring the U.S. into the fold? Well, we're going to discuss that in today's video, talk about what just happened, why Israel attacking Iran is a big deal, not just in Israel or Iran, but for the entire world. I'll break all this down in just a moment, explain why these attacks occurred just this morning in Iran, but what a retaliation could actually look like. So again, this is something that you need to be well aware of because it does impact every single one of us, even though we do not live in Israel or Iran. So make sure you stick around and watch this entire video. I'll explain exactly what is happening. But first, all I ask is one thing. Takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So let's get right into it. Look at this right here. It says Israel strikes Iran nuclear sites and military leadership as Middle East braces for retaliation. Okay. So why did Israel decide to attack Iran? Well, you need to watch this video right here. Look at this.
Intense escalation in the Middle East. Damage and debris litters the streets of Iran's capital city after Israel launched overnight airstrikes. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said it was a preemptive attack focused on Iranian nuclear facilities.
Targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival.
International watchdogs say Iran has increased its stockpiles of highly enriched uranium in recent years, which the country says is for civilian use, like nuclear energy.
So Iran says this is for nuclear energy. Possibly. But others are worried that they are going to use it for a nuclear threat, okay, for war. Now, if we are seeing them make nuclear weapons, that's not something that Israel even wants. That's not something the United States wants. It's not something that other countries want. Iran to have nuclear weapons. That's concerning. I want to show you something though. Okay? Look at this right here. It says Iran calls Israel strikes declaration of war. President Trump says that he was warned that Israel was going to strike Iran. That he was warned yesterday. We learned about this. Now I want to play the rest of this clip though. Listen to this.
But a spokesperson for the Israeli military overnight said Iran is secretly building a nuclear weapons program.
The Iranian regime has called for the destruction of the state of Israel, planning and advancing concrete military plans to do so.
Following the news, the White House said the Israeli strikes were unilateral without any American involvement.
I do want to read that to you though really quick. Okay? In that statement right there, it says, tonight, Israel took unilateral action against Iran. We are not involved in strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. Israel advised us that they believe this action was necessary for its self-defense. President Trump and the administration have taken all necessary steps to protect our forces and remain in close contact with our regional partners. Let me be clear, Iran should not target U.S. interests or personnel. Why did the United States come out and why did the White House release that statement yesterday? Well, they released it because they don't want any involvement in this war between Israel and Iran. Okay? They just don't. And I'll explain more on that in a moment. Okay? But here's the thing that kind of ties the United States in. Israel notified Washington. They notified the White House before the Iran strike. That was according to an Israeli broadcaster, but President Trump said the same thing, that yes, he knew ahead of schedule. I want to play another clip for you. This is the moment that the first missile actually hit Iran. Look at this.
You can really see it here in plain sight as the flashes are going across the skyline. So again, what we now know at this point is that Israel attacked Iran's capital early Friday morning with those explosions booming across Tehran, as Israel says that it has targeted nuclear and military sites. This attack, though, of course, comes as tensions have now reached new heights over Tehran's rapidly advancing nuclear program.
So what Israel's trying to eliminate is not Iranians. They're trying to eliminate the nuclear facilities. Okay, that's what they're trying to eliminate. That they don't want any nuclear weapons, hitting them. So in a form of self-defense, they're attacking first. Okay, I want to read something to you. It says how war between Iran and Israel could escalate and drag in the United States. This is something that many people are concerned with, and this is something, and one of the reasons why the United States did what they did, last year during the Biden administration, to ensure that the war in the Middle East didn't spread. Okay, but look at this right here. It says, what is the likelihood that Iran attacks U.S. forces? It says, much depends on the messaging from the United States. Trump has made clear that Washington was not involved in the Israeli attacks and warned Iran not to target U.S. forces. If Iranian leaders understand that by engaging the United States or others in the region, it faces the risk of a direct U.S. attack that would compound the damage Israel has already caused, it is more likely to limit its response to attacks against Israel. It may well downgrade its cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency and try to rebuild and further bury and harden its remaining nuclear infrastructure. But Iran may choose not to attack actors other than Israel in order to keep them out of the war. Okay. It says, let's say that Iran does attack the United States, prompting U.S. retaliation, or that Washington decides to get directly involved to prevent an Iranian nuclear breakout. How might an American attack on Iran play out? It says some of the assets that would facilitate an American strike are already available. The USS Carl Vinson carrier strike group continues to be deployed in the region. Before a strike, a second carrier strike group might sail toward the area. Additional aircraft such as fighter squadrons, tankers, and search and rescue helicopters would likely also be deployed to bases in the region. The United States also has unique capabilities it could employ if it intended to target Iran's deeply buried enrichment facility in Fordow. So there has been discussions of what the United States would do if Iran were to attack. This isn't anything new, but this was under the Biden administration. I don't know if it's still the same plan. Okay, keep in mind, President Biden was being talked about as letting other countries just run all over him when Israel kept on attacking, Gaza. Right? President Biden said he needs to stop. Now, President Trump is trying to pull himself away from Israel. We're going to see what happens over the next 48 hours. Next 2 days are going to be critical as to what happens and as to whether or not the United States gets pulled into this. Does Israel use the United States, the friendship with the United States? Well, we're going to find that out soon enough. But the reason why I want to share this with you is because now we have another war. We have this war between Israel and Iran. Iran already stated that this was a declaration of war. So we'll see what happens over the next 48 hours. As we get more information on this, I promise I'll bring you all the latest news and updates as soon as we get them. But as of today, that is what we know. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.